Hello everyone, welcome back to the Global Conflict News channel. Please subscribe my channel. The story that unfolds today is one of shadows, whispers, and power struggles that reach deep into the veins of politics, influence, and human ambition. It begins not with the sound of gunfire or the sharp crack of violence, but with murmurs in quiet corridors, the kind of hushed tones that suggest an assassination is not always of the body, but often of the reputation, the credibility, and the future of a figure caught in the storm. What you are about to hear is a story of strategy and survival, of a man named Charlie Kirk and the forces that surrounded him, closing in like wolves as he moved deeper into a labyrinth designed to erase him not by bullets but by orchestrated destruction of his character. In the beginning, Charlie carried himself like a man untouched by danger, his exterior calm and polished, carefully maintained for audiences both large and small. He was known for his sharp speeches and uncompromising stances, appearing on stages where lights cast long shadows behind him, making his silhouette larger than life. His exterior was designed like armor, crisp suits, strong gestures, and a confident smile that shielded the vulnerabilities hidden beneath. Those who saw him from afar often admired the clarity of his voice, but they seldom understood that beneath the polished surface there were cracks forming, lines drawn by enemies who studied him not for what he said, but for how he could be undone. His exterior became the canvas upon which allies painted loyalty and adversaries sharpened their knives of doubt. Behind the exterior was the interior world, the one he seldom shared. Late nights in dimly lit offices revealed a man at war with himself, staring at screens filled with news feeds, commentaries, and intelligence reports. His interior was shorter, more fragile, less secure than his public self. He confided only in a few, and even then he kept much of his true feelings locked away. Inside, there was tension, a constant tug of war between conviction and fear. He often asked himself if the fight was worth it, if the endless scrutiny, the whisper campaigns, the threats both direct and indirect, were signs of a battle he could not win. That interior voice grew louder as his name appeared in secret memos circulating among powerful groups that viewed him as an obstacle. The assassination they envisioned was not about ending his life but dismantling the foundation of trust that supported his influence. Performance was the arena where the real battle began. Every speech became a performance not only for his supporters but for those who sought to dismantle him. Cameras captured every movement, rivals dissected every sentence, and fact-checkers waited like hawks circling prey, ready to dive at the slightest misstep. His performance had to be flawless, a carefully choreographed act where a single slip could unravel everything. Yet the more flawless he appeared, the more determined his enemies became to show that perfection was an illusion. Anonymous reports emerged, designed to question his integrity. Old associations were dragged into the spotlight. Financial transactions were scrutinized, twisted, and reframed. The performance was not merely about delivering speeches anymore, it was about surviving a stage where every light was a searchlight, and every audience member could be an informant feeding into a larger plot. Safety features were few, and those he built were constantly tested. Security around his appearances tightened as rumors grew, but the real safety he sought was not physical, it was informational. He encrypted his messages, changed his phones, avoided familiar routes home. Yet in the digital age, safety is a fragile illusion. His emails were breached, private calls recorded, personal files leaked. Each supposed safety measure became a temporary barrier before being broken down by adversaries with resources that stretched into the highest levels of technology and governance. It was no longer about whether he would be attacked, but when the next blow would fall, and from which direction. The invisible daggers of misinformation, planted stories, and manipulated recordings became weapons more lethal than any blade. Unique selling points were once his strength, the reasons why he stood out from the crowd. His ability to simplify complex ideas, to rally followers with conviction, and to challenge established norms made him magnetic to many. But these same points were inverted by his enemies, reframed as weaknesses. His clarity became oversimplification, his conviction became stubbornness, his defiance became recklessness. They turned his uniqueness into a liability, building a narrative that transformed admiration into suspicion. It was a carefully orchestrated campaign, not a single strike but 1,000 small cuts, designed to bleed away the trust and enthusiasm that once defined his public standing. Each day brought new headlines, some fabricated, others distorted, all aimed at reshaping the perception of who he was. The question of price hung over everything. Not just the financial cost of defending himself in courts and media, but the personal toll it extracted from his health, relationships, and sanity. Allies began to waver, calculating the price of loyalty in a world where association with him risked their own credibility. Sponsors withdrew, platforms restricted his reach, and legal battles drained his resources. The price was not measured in dollars alone but in isolation, in the loss of friends who once stood proudly at his side but now disappeared into silence. Every defense came with a new expense, and every day he fought back, the price grew heavier, threatening to crush him beneath its weight. The conclusion of this story is not an ending marked by silence or finality but by transformation. Charlie Kirk's assassination was not of the body but of the image, not of the man but of the narrative surrounding him. In the end, he remained alive but surrounded by ruins carefully constructed by those who orchestrated his downfall. The stage where he once commanded attention became an arena of doubt. Yet within those ruins lies a strange kind of rebirth, for assassinations of character are never absolute. Whispers of resistance remain, seeds of loyalty that cannot be uprooted entirely. His story becomes a cautionary tale, a thriller of how influence invites enemies, how performance becomes vulnerability, and how assassination in the modern era is not defined by bullets but by the slow, relentless erosion of trust. It is a tale that warns us all of the fragility of power and the invisible hands that shape our destinies when ambition collides with opposition.